Chosen one, big good news has arrived. God funded it. This message carries weight, timing, and intention because something has shifted in your favor. The season you've been walking through, the waiting, the uncertainty, the silent endurance, was not wasted. What's unfolding now is not random luck or temporary relief. This is provision with purpose. The kind of breakthrough that arrives already supported, already sustained, already accounted for. What is coming into your life carries a different energy because it was not built on panic or force. It was funded beyond your fear, beyond your effort, beyond your exhaustion. You were being prepared for news that would change how you see your future, and that preparation is now complete. Before continuing, stay with this message until the very end, because each part connects to the next. And write your warmest wishes in the comments along with the number 144. Not as a ritual, but as a declaration of openness and alignment. A conscious signal that you are ready to receive what has already been set in motion. Chosen one, press the hype button, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's start. Now let's speak clearly about what this means. When something is funded at a higher level, it arrives without strain. It doesn't require you to betray yourself. It doesn't demand burnout as proof of worth. What's been arranged for you was not rushed, and it will not collapse under pressure. This is why delays were necessary. You were being protected from receiving something before you had the capacity to hold it with peace. You may have felt moments where everything seemed quiet, almost too quiet. That silence was not absence. It was coordination. Pieces were moving in ways you couldn't see, aligning outcomes you couldn't predict. What felt like stagnation was actually insulation, shielding you from interference while the foundation was being secured. The good news arriving now carries stability with it. Not just excitement, but structure. Not just opportunity, but sustainability. This is not something you have to constantly defend or explain. It stands on its own. You will recognize it by how calm it makes you feel, even before you fully understand it. There were times when you questioned whether help would ever come, whether support existed beyond what you could produce with your own effort. Those questions didn't disqualify you. They humanized you. You were never expected to be unshakable. You were expected to remain open. And you did. What's important now is how you receive this moment. Not with disbelief, not with self-sabotage disguised as humility. Receive it with steadiness, with gratitude that doesn't rush, with confidence that doesn't boast. You don't need to announce anything prematurely. Let the results speak in time. This is also a moment of recalibration. Your standards are rising because your circumstances are changing. What you once tolerated will no longer make sense. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. When provision changes, responsibility changes too. You are stepping into stewardship, not survival. You may notice that your intuition feels sharper, that decisions feel clearer, that certain paths no longer attract you. This is because you are no longer operating from lack. When lack loosens its grip, clarity enters naturally. There is no need to fear losing this. What is supported at its source is not fragile. It does not disappear because of rest, trust, or joy. In fact, ease strengthens it. Peace protects it. Allow yourself to adjust slowly. You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. Let this good news integrate into your life naturally. Let it settle. Let it guide your next steps without rushing you. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into provision with intention. This is only the beginning of what will be revealed. As this good news begins to unfold in your awareness, you may notice that it doesn't demand urgency from you. There is no pressure to prove anything, no frantic need to secure or defend it. That's one of the clearest signs that what has arrived is supported at a level beyond immediate circumstances. It carries assurance rather than anxiety. You don't have to rush toward it, because it is already moving toward you with intention. This is a moment where trust replaces effort. Not passive trust, but grounded trust, the kind that allows you to act without panic. You may feel a quiet confidence settling in, one that doesn't need to be explained or justified. This confidence isn't loud. It doesn't seek attention. It simply knows that what's unfolding has structure and backing beyond what you can see right now. You might reflect on how many times you tried to force outcomes in the past, believing that constant struggle was the price of progress. That belief is dissolving now. What's ahead is not fueled by exhaustion. It is sustained by alignment. The energy behind it is clean, stable, and deliberate. You were spared from carrying something prematurely, because timing matters just as much as opportunity. Notice how your perspective is changing. Problems that once felt overwhelming now feel temporary. Decisions that once caused fear now feel manageable. This shift is not because life suddenly became easy, but because you are no longer carrying everything alone. Support changes how weight feels. The load is different now. You may also sense a new level of responsibility emerging, not as pressure, but as clarity. When something meaningful is entrusted to you, it invites maturity. You are being asked to move thoughtfully, to choose wisely, and to honor what has been provided by how you steward it. This isn't about perfection. It's about intention. Old doubts may try to resurface, questioning whether this stability can last. When that happens, pause. Doubt often appears when something unfamiliar begins to feel real. You are not losing control. You are releasing struggle. Those are not the same thing. Let the unfamiliar become familiar through consistency, not fear. You don't need to broadcast what's happening. Some things are strengthened by privacy. Allow this chapter to grow quietly before it becomes visible. What is rooted deeply does not need constant exposure to thrive. As this support integrates into your life, you may feel drawn to simplify, to clear distractions, to focus on what truly matters. This isn't withdrawal, it's refinement. When provision increases, clarity follows. You are entering a phase where effort and outcome begin to align more naturally, where work feels purposeful instead of draining, where rest no longer feels like risk. This balance is not accidental. It's part of what was arranged. Let yourself move forward without rushing the process. Stability unfolds in layers. Each layer reinforces the next. What has arrived is not temporary relief. It is a foundation, and it is still unfolding. As you continue into this phase, you may begin to realize that what has been arranged for you doesn't require you to abandon who you are. It doesn't demand that you become harder, colder, or disconnected in order to sustain it. In fact, the opposite is true. What's been funded at its source supports your wholeness. It allows you to remain grounded, present, and human while still moving forward with strength. This is where many people misunderstand provision. They think it must come with tension, that stability must be defended constantly. But what's unfolding now carries a different rhythm. It moves with consistency rather than spikes, with assurance rather than volatility. You will recognize this by how your nervous system responds. Less bracing, less anticipation of collapse, more ease in your day-to-day decisions. You may notice that your priorities are reorganizing themselves naturally. Things that once seemed urgent lose their grip. Things that once felt distant suddenly feel relevant. This reordering is not accidental. When support is real, it clarifies direction. You no longer have to scatter your energy trying to secure everything at once. Focus becomes simpler. There is also a deeper sense of permission emerging. Permission to plan beyond immediate needs. Permission to think in terms of continuity rather than survival. You are allowed to imagine stability without guilt. You are allowed to envision growth without fear of disappointment. This permission was always available, but now you can actually feel it. Be mindful of how you speak to yourself during this time. Old internal narratives may try to reassert themselves, especially those rooted in scarcity or self-doubt. When they appear, recognize them as echoes, not instructions. You are not required to obey voices that were shaped in a different season. This is also a moment to honor your patience. You didn't rush your way here. You endured periods where nothing seemed to move, where effort went unseen, where faith felt quiet. That patience strengthened your capacity. It taught you restraint, discernment, and timing. Those qualities now protect what's coming into your life. You might feel an increasing desire to act with integrity in every area. Finances, relationships, commitments. This is not pressure. It's alignment. When provision feels clean, you naturally want your choices to reflect that same clarity. Integrity reduces friction. It keeps things flowing. There is no need to fear mistakes. Support does not vanish because of learning curves. Growth includes adjustment. What matters is responsiveness, not perfection. You are allowed to refine as you go. You may also sense a subtle invitation to slow down in certain areas while stepping forward in others. Follow that guidance. Expansion does not happen evenly across all dimensions at once. Balance comes from listening to where energy is being directed now. What's important to understand is this: you are not being tested anymore in the way you once were. You are being trusted. Trusted with responsibility, with opportunity, with stability. That trust was earned quietly, over time. Let this phase unfold without forcing meaning onto every detail. You don't need to analyze everything. Some things are meant to be lived, not dissected. You are moving into a chapter where provision supports purpose, not panic, and the structure beneath you is solid. As this chapter continues to open, you may begin to notice that your reactions to uncertainty are changing. Situations that once triggered worry now invite discernment instead. You pause before responding. You observe before deciding. This is not hesitation, it is wisdom. When provision is secure at its source, there is no need to rush conclusions or force outcomes. Time becomes an ally rather than an enemy. You are also learning that support does not remove responsibility. It clarifies it. What has been placed in your path carries purpose, and purpose asks for attentiveness. You are becoming more intentional with your choices, not because you are afraid of loss, but because you respect what has been entrusted to you. Respect deepens stability. There may be moments when you feel a quiet urge to release old habits, ways of thinking, spending, reacting, or planning that belonged to a season of uncertainty. This release is not rejection of your past. It is completion. Those habits helped you survive. They are not needed to help you build. Let them go without judgment. Your sense of identity is also evolving. You are no longer defining yourself by what you lack or what you are chasing. You are beginning to define yourself by what you carry: clarity, steadiness, discernment, and direction. This identity shift changes how others interact with you. People respond differently when they sense internal stability. You may notice that opportunities now feel less chaotic. They come with clearer terms, clearer expectations, clearer paths forward. This is not coincidence. When alignment strengthens internally, external structures reflect that order. Confusion fades when clarity is present. There is also a new relationship forming between effort and rest. You are learning when to act and when to pause. Rest no longer feels like delay. It feels like maintenance. Maintenance preserves momentum. It ensures that what is being built does not erode under pressure. At times, you may feel a desire to retreat slightly, not to hide, but to integrate. Integration is essential. It allows changes to settle into your nervous system, your habits, your decisions. Without integration, growth feels unstable. You are being given space to integrate now. Be patient with this process. Stability does not arrive all at once. It layers itself into your life. Each layer reinforces the next. Each experience builds trust. You don't need to rush visibility or validation. What is real will reveal itself in time. You are also becoming more comfortable with silence. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of confidence. You don't feel compelled to explain every move or justify every choice. This quietness protects your focus. It keeps your energy directed. Remember that this provision did not arrive to overwhelm you. It arrived to support you. You are allowed to enjoy it without fear. You are allowed to grow into it gradually. This phase is not about proving anything. It is about inhabiting what has already been prepared. And you are doing that now, step by steady step. As this phase deepens, you may begin to feel a stronger sense of internal order. Your thoughts feel less scattered. Your priorities feel clearer. There is a noticeable reduction in inner conflict because you are no longer pulled equally in every direction. When support is real and sustained, it simplifies decision-making. You are not constantly weighing fear against hope anymore. You are choosing from a place of stability. You may also recognize that your relationship with effort is changing. You still work, you still act, you still apply yourself. But the tension is gone. You are no longer trying to earn safety through exhaustion. Instead, your actions feel purposeful and measured. This shift protects your energy and increases effectiveness. Effort becomes aligned rather than draining. There is a growing awareness that timing matters as much as action. You are learning when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to remain quiet. This discernment is not accidental. It is the result of being supported enough to listen inwardly rather than react outwardly. When pressure decreases, perception sharpens. You may notice that you are becoming more selective with what you allow into your life. Conversations, commitments, even thoughts. This selectivity is not isolation. It is stewardship. You are protecting the conditions that allow stability to grow. What you allow repeatedly becomes your environment, and your environment shapes outcomes. Old fears about loss may still surface occasionally, but they no longer control you. When they appear, you recognize them as remnants of a past season. You do not need to eliminate them forcefully. Awareness alone weakens their influence. You are learning to respond rather than react, and that response creates continuity. There is also a deeper sense of dignity emerging. You carry yourself differently, not with pride, but with self-respect. You no longer accept arrangements that diminish you. You no longer overextend to be chosen. This dignity aligns you with situations and opportunities that honor mutual value. As stability becomes familiar, gratitude shifts as well. It is no longer urgent or reactive. It becomes steady and grounded. You are thankful without clinging, appreciative without fear. This form of gratitude reinforces peace and keeps abundance from feeling fragile. You may feel an increasing desire to build rather than consume, to create structures, systems, or habits that support long-term well-being. This instinct reflects maturity. You are thinking beyond immediate satisfaction and toward continuity. Continuity is what transforms good news into a lasting foundation. Be gentle with yourself as you adjust. Even positive change requires adaptation. Allow yourself time to grow into what has been provided. You do not need to master everything at once. Learning is part of stewardship. You are no longer operating from desperation. You are operating from trust. And trust allows what has been arranged to settle into your life with strength and calm. As this chapter reaches a deeper level of stability, you may begin to realize that what has entered your life is not just provision, but reassurance. A quiet knowing replaces uncertainty. You no longer scan the horizon for signs that everything might fall apart. Instead, you move forward with the understanding that what supports you is consistent, not conditional. This is what changes everything, when security is no longer something you chase, but something you stand on. You may notice that your sense of identity has settled. You are not defined by urgency anymore. You are not shaped by fear of running out. You are grounded in the awareness that what has been arranged did not arrive by chance and will not disappear because of rest, calm, or trust. This awareness allows you to live more fully in the present without constantly bracing for loss. There is also a deeper clarity about purpose emerging now. You understand that this support was not given simply for comfort, but for direction. It allows you to make choices that are thoughtful rather than reactive. It gives you the space to consider impact, legacy, and meaning. Provision creates room to act with intention, and intention shapes outcomes that last. You may feel a natural pull toward responsibility, not obligation, but ownership. Ownership of your time, ownership of your decisions, ownership of the life you are building. This ownership is empowering because it is not driven by fear. It is driven by trust. Trust in the foundation beneath you, and trust in your ability to steward what you've been given. At this stage, challenges may still arise, but they feel different. They no longer threaten your sense of safety. They feel like adjustments rather than alarms. You approach them with calm focus, knowing that support does not vanish when refinement is required. Growth and correction can coexist. You are also becoming more comfortable allowing things to unfold without controlling every detail. This does not mean disengagement. It means confidence. You know when to act and when to allow space. This balance protects momentum and prevents burnout. There is peace in your pace now. You are not racing to prove readiness. You are living from it. The pressure to rush has dissolved because you understand that what is supported at its source unfolds in its own time, without collapse. Let this truth settle deeply. You were not given something fragile. You were entrusted with something solid. Something meant to grow with you, not test you endlessly. You do not need to fear the future. You are already supported within it. This is not an ending. This is establishment. And you are standing firmly within what has been prepared. As you move forward from this place of establishment, you may begin to notice that your relationship with anticipation has changed. You are no longer waiting in tension, counting signs, or searching for confirmation. Instead, you carry a calm expectancy, the kind that allows life to meet you naturally. This expectancy is not passive. It is grounded. It trusts the process without needing to control it. You are also becoming more aware of how deeply supported clarity feels. Confusion no longer dominates your inner space. When questions arise, they do not spiral. They settle. You are able to look at situations with perspective rather than emotion, with understanding rather than urgency. This clarity is a direct result of stability. When the ground is firm, the mind can rest. There is a new confidence in your ability to handle growth. Not just growth in resources, but growth in responsibility, influence, and decision-making. You no longer doubt whether you are capable. You have evidence now, not from external applause, but from lived experience. You have watched yourself remain steady through uncertainty. That steadiness has become part of who you are. You may notice that your boundaries feel firmer, yet gentler. You don't need to explain them aggressively or defend them excessively. They exist naturally, shaped by self-respect. You understand that boundaries are not walls. They are structures that protect what matters. This understanding preserves your energy and keeps your focus clear. There is also a growing sense of discernment about what deserves your investment. You are less impressed by noise and more attuned to substance. You recognize that not every opportunity is aligned, even if it looks appealing. This discernment saves you time, effort, and emotional bandwidth. It keeps your path clean. As this continues, you may find yourself thinking more long-term without feeling burdened by the future. Planning feels constructive rather than heavy. You consider sustainability, continuity, and impact with a calm mind. This forward thinking does not come from fear of loss, but from confidence in what is being built. You are also learning to appreciate progress without rushing it. You understand now that meaningful things deepen with time. They don't need constant acceleration to be real. This patience is not resignation. It is mastery. It allows growth to settle into permanence. There is a quiet authority in how you move now. You don't need to announce it. It shows in your choices, your pace, your consistency. Others may sense it without being able to name it. Authority rooted in stability speaks without words. You are no longer shaped by what you escaped. You are shaped by what you are building. And what you are building now stands on provision, clarity, and trust, strong enough to support not just today, but what comes next. As this phase continues to mature, you may begin to notice that your inner dialogue has softened. The harshness that once pushed you to constantly evaluate, correct, or pressure yourself is easing. In its place is a more balanced awareness, one that acknowledges responsibility without punishment. You are no longer motivating yourself through fear of loss, but through confidence in continuity. That shift changes how you experience each day. You may also realize that your sense of safety is no longer fragile. It doesn't collapse at the first sign of uncertainty. Instead, it holds. This resilience allows you to stay present, even when outcomes are not immediately visible. You don't spiral. You don't retreat. You remain steady, knowing that stability does not require constant proof to exist. There is a growing ease in how you relate to effort. You still take action, but you no longer equate effort with strain. Work feels cleaner, more focused, less scattered. This efficiency is not about doing more, It's about doing what matters. When energy is no longer wasted on fear, it becomes available for creation. You may find that your patience now carries depth rather than delay. Waiting does not feel like stagnation. It feels intentional. You understand that some things strengthen in stillness, and that movement without clarity only creates noise. This patience protects what is being formed. Your emotional responses are also recalibrating. Situations that once felt personal now feel informational. You gather insight instead of reacting defensively. This emotional regulation is not detachment, it is maturity. It allows you to respond with wisdom rather than impulse, preserving both relationships and momentum. There is also an increasing sense of internal alignment between what you value and how you act. You are less likely to compromise your standards for short-term comfort. This alignment reduces inner conflict and reinforces trust in yourself. When self-trust deepens, decisions become simpler. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to rush into explanations or announcements. Silence feels supportive rather than empty. You understand that not everything needs to be shared to be real. Some things gain strength through discretion. This awareness keeps your energy contained and focused. As stability continues to integrate, your confidence becomes less visible but more effective. It doesn't announce itself. It influences outcomes quietly. People respond to you differently, with more respect, more clarity, more consistency, even if they can't articulate why. Inner order reflects outwardly. You are also learning to accept good things without suspicion. You don't search for hidden costs or impending loss. You allow yourself to receive cleanly. This openness strengthens continuity. When receiving is relaxed, flow remains uninterrupted. You are no longer bracing for collapse. You are learning how to live from a foundation that holds. And that foundation is now part of you, steady, reliable, and capable of supporting what comes next. As this chapter moves toward completion, you may begin to recognize that the stability you now experience is no longer situational. It is internalized. It does not depend on everything going perfectly. It exists even when variables shift. This is the moment when support stops feeling external and starts feeling embodied. You carry it with you. You are no longer measuring your progress by dramatic moments or sudden breakthroughs. Instead, you notice consistency, follow through, the quiet ability to keep moving forward without emotional spikes or collapses. This steadiness is powerful because it compounds. Small, aligned decisions made consistently create outcomes that no single dramatic action ever could. You may also notice that fear no longer motivates you. It may still appear, but it no longer drives. Decisions are no longer made to avoid loss, but to build alignment. This shift changes everything. When fear steps out of leadership, clarity steps in, and clarity makes room for precision. There is a deepening respect for your own process now. You no longer judge yourself for not moving faster. You understand that your pace has been intentional, shaped by timing rather than hesitation. This self-respect strengthens trust, and trust strengthens momentum. Your sense of worth has also detached from constant productivity. You no longer believe you must always be doing more to deserve what you have. This belief was one of the final remnants of survival mode, and it is dissolving. You are allowed to exist, rest, and enjoy without consequence. Enjoyment does not threaten stability. It reinforces it. You may find that you are less reactive to the behavior or opinions of others. External noise no longer destabilizes you. You listen when necessary, ignore when appropriate, and remain centered either way. This emotional independence protects your energy and keeps your focus intact. There is also a growing awareness that what you have stepped into is not meant to be rushed or exploited. It is meant to be lived within. You are learning to inhabit your life fully rather than constantly preparing for it. This presence enhances everything: relationships, work, decisions, and direction. This presence becomes the quiet force that stabilizes your path and deepens every experience along the way.